The H-1B CAP registration season starts a week from tomorrow. Are you ready? My name is Emily Sumner with Sumner Immigration Law, and today, in today's live at lunch, we are talking about the steps that you as an HR professional, business owner, global mobility professional need to take to make sure that you are ready for the H-1B CAP that's opening registration that is opening next Wednesday. So key dates. The registration period is opening at noon on March 6th and will close at noon on March 22nd. The employer accounts should be open tomorrow. Keep in mind that every time something like this happens, a lot of people rush online and then the system breaks. Maybe not every time, but a lot of times. So if you go online tomorrow and you can't get your account to work, take a deep breath. It's okay. We have time. It is good to prepare ahead of time, of course, but if it's not working the very minute that you log on, it's okay. That's why we do these things early. So what steps do you need to take between now and the time that the registration period opens on March 6th? First of all, make your list and check it twice. Make sure that you have every foreign national on your list that you want to be sure to register in the H-1B lottery process. So that can include your employees or perhaps contractors who are working on F1 OPT, perhaps working on CPT, working on F1 STEM OPT. We have employers every year who include individuals in the lottery who are working for them overseas as contractors, and they really want those individuals to come work in the United States permanently, or at least long-term rather. The H-1B is a temporary visa, but they want them to come work as employees in the United States. So consider overseas contractors, individual employees that you have working for you in other statuses. So for example, if you have individuals working on H-4 EAD, L2 EAD, E2 EAD, J2, any sort of other status, you may want to have them working for you on H-1B, or they may ask for it because they may want to be independent of their spouse and have their own work authorization based on the H-1B. And then, of course, take a look at the list of individuals that you've registered in previous years and see if there's anybody there that you need to include again. If they weren't included in the lottery and they need to be registered again because they haven't found another path yet, you can include those individuals again. The budgeting for this process, the $10 registration fee is in place for this year. Keep in mind that for next year, that fee will increase to $215 per registration. So right now it's $10. Keep in mind that the USCIS filing fees are increasing on April 1st. And that means any cases that are selected, any registrations that are selected in this lottery, we can file between April 1st and June 30th. That's when the higher fees will be in effect. So when you're looking at your budget for this, make sure that you take into account the higher USCIS fees. The deadline for this, lots of clients right now are asking, okay, what do I need to do right now? What are the deadlines? The deadline is what your immigration attorney says the deadline is. So, the absolute deadline, the absolute last time that we can register an individual is on March 22nd. In our office, we really try to get individuals registered as soon as possible when the portal opens. There's not a huge rush because we do have, a couple of weeks to get everybody registered, but we like to front end everything and have people registered and confirmed sooner rather than later, so everyone can just take a deep breath and know that you are registered in the H-1B lottery. So talk to your immigration attorney. We are asking for final confirmation this week of individuals to be registered in the lottery so that we can confirm all the information, be proactive, confirm all the information ahead of time. But it is possible to add individuals later on in the process. So every year we have clients come to us and say, hey, Emily, we forgot this, one or two people, or they just came to us, can we add them to the registration? Absolutely. So we can add individuals later in the process, but we're trying to really front end the work and be proactive. So make sure that you're reviewing your list now. Make sure that you are submitting the information to your immigration attorney that they're asking for. That's typically some basic information about the corporation. And yes, in our office, we ask you to confirm that information. Of course, if you've been a long time corporate client, of course, we have your information on file, but we want to make sure that that information is still accurate and up to date. So that's why we're asking you for that information. And then some basic information about the individuals that you're registering including their passport. We look at their degrees to see if it's a qualifying US master's degree or not, that type of thing. So make sure that you're submitting that information as soon as you have it available to you. Make sure that, like I said, that you're looking at the budget. In terms of timelines, for once you have your registrations complete, like I said, the registration period is from March 6th to March 22nd. Once the registration period closes, USCIS will conduct the lottery. Typically, they conduct the lottery the last week of March. So usually we start having selection notices roll in like March 25th, March 26th. It does happen over a span of at least a couple of days. So if your immigration attorney says, hey, X person was selected and you haven't heard about Y person, there's still hope. It's not over until USCIS says that it's over. That selections will happen at the end of March, and then we can file the H-1B petition starting April 1st. We have 90 days to file between April 1st and June 30th. Again, keep in mind that those fees are going up starting April 30th. To kind of wrap up the session on planning the countdown for the March Madness that begins on March 6th, I want to talk about a couple of different options. So everybody is thinking about, what are the chances of being selected in the lottery? What are my options if I'm not selected in the lottery, or if my employee is not selected in the lottery? And those are excellent questions. Your chance of being selected in the lottery, of course, depends on how many registrations there are. As you probably have heard by now, USCIS is changing the selection process to make it beneficiary centric, meaning they will select based on a person's unique passport number so that they would only be selected one time. Ideally, hopefully, that will reduce the number of, it will increase the chances of selection, because you won't hopefully have foreign nationals who are selected multiple times. They'll only be selected once. So hopefully the chance of being selected will be higher this year, but we have to see how that plays out and just see how many people in general are being registered for the lottery. We also have, of course, in this economic environment, we have seen layoffs in different industries and different large companies that typically might file for a large number of, or register a large number of people. So we'll have to see what happens. Last year, the chance of being selected in the lottery was about 14%. We are hoping that it's higher this year, but again, all we can do is register and think good thoughts and hope that you are selected in the lottery and have a backup plan. So that's what I want to talk about, is a backup plan. I will be talking a lot more about backup plans, and we'll have a webinar about that, or other options rather. If you're not selected in the H-1B lottery, we'll be talking about that down the road. But I just had a consultation with an individual, and it reminded me of this, and it reminded me of a couple of other cases, several other cases that we've had in recent years and in years prior. It is possible to start multiple processes now. So I was just telling the individual that I spoke with that yes, your employer can register you in the H-1B lottery, and they can start the green card process for you at the same time. I realize not all employers are going to be willing to do this. I get it. There are budget constraints. There are immigration policies in place. I totally understand that and respect that. However, I have had a number of clients over the years where the employer is really invested in this particular individual and wants to do everything they can to maximize their chance of being able to stay in the United States without an interruption in their employment authorization, their ability to keep working in the United States. So I've had several employers who have, towards the beginning of the OPT process, they have said, all right, we're going to register you in the H-1B lottery this year, even though we know that you are eligible for STEM OPT and that you have another couple of years on STEM OPT. And so they're doing that because they know that the chance of being selected in the lottery is not amazing. So they're doing that to maximize so that they'll have multiple chances at the lottery, hopefully at least 2 or 3 years, if you have STEM OPT. And at the same time, they're starting the employment-based green card process. So that can be a perm labor certification. It can be an NIW if that's something that you're qualified for, possibly another, an EB1 type filing. But I have had several employers who have registered their employees the very first year that they're eligible and started the green card process at the same time. And in a couple of these instances, most of these instances, the individuals were not selected in the H-1B lottery, at least not the first go round. So I'll tell you about 2 different instances. In one instance, the individual filed, I think 3 years in a row for the H-1B lottery and was selected the 3rd year. not the first year, not the second year, but the third year, he was able to keep working because he had the STEM OPT. And that first year, the employer started the employment-based green card process. So he's not only now he has H-1B status because he was selected that third year, but he also is at a really good point in the employment-based green card process and is good. He's good to go, and good to continue working in the United States. So that's a really great option that is available. The other situation that we had, the individual actually did, or one of the other situations, the individual actually did, they weren't eligible for STEM OPT, so they had to go back home for a bit and work overseas, but the employer did start the employment-based green card process, the PERM process, the very first year that they were eligible to, the year that the individual was working on OPT. This person was not born in India or China. So the backlogs, the retrogressions, of course, are a factor. This person was born in a different country. But we started that green card process. This was about 2.5 years ago. Now they kept registering him in the H-1B lottery every year. Again, I think it was the third year that he was registered in the H-1B lottery. He wasn't selected last March, but then there was a second round in July of H-1B selections, and he was selected in July. So we were able to submit that H-1B petition. He got the H-1B visa stamped, entered the US, and then his priority date became current. We were at the point in the green card process where we were able to submit the I-485. So again, which is the last step of the employment-based green card process. So again, there was a period of time for sure where he was working overseas and he was not able to continue working seamlessly because he wasn't eligible for STEM OPT. And didn't pursue some other options that could have been available. But anyway, he did have to work overseas for a period of time. But now, 3 years later, he's in a really great situation where he has H-1B, so he doesn't have to worry about when USCIS is going to get around to issuing the employment-based the employment-based green card work authorization, the work permit associated with his green card filing. He's able to work, but he has that pending. And sooner rather than later, he's actually going to be a permanent resident of the United States. So I like that story, and it's a true story. But I like that situation because it shows that the process is not what you expect necessarily. You can make a plan, you can hope for the best, cross all of your fingers and toes when you're registered in the H-1B lottery, hope that things go, the way that you want them to. But they may not. It may be that things don't go. You might have to take, a different classification. You might have to go overseas for a period of time. You might have to go back to school, or your employees might have to do this if you're an employer. But that doesn't mean that you can't reach your goal ultimately. So hang in there, keep the faith, register early. I would say register often, but don't do that. Don't register more than once. That's not permitted. But make sure that you are ready for this registration period that's opening March 6th. My name is Emily Sumner with Sumner Immigration Law. We serve clients all throughout the United States and from overseas, of course. If you need help with an employment-based or family-based immigration matter, please give us a call. You can give us a call or send us an email at info@sumnerimmigration.com, and we are happy to help you walk through the process. And we would love to aid you in your immigration journey and reaching those goals, whether you are a company or an individual. I will be live again next Tuesday at noon. Until next time, let us know what questions you have.